graded everything nice and level.
Yep.
And the pads are about that big around.
24 inch
Yeah.
by 24 inch.
Yeah, and each pier sits on one of them.
That's your permanent foundation.
Yeah.
I hope it's it's an attractive option when we're done with it. I think it'll have light use. I don't really see us doing a lot of expensive modification to it. Any other questions?
As a contract guy, I have some exceptions to the lease agreement. Are we waiting until he comes back with another copy?
We're waiting for him to come back with another copy. We
Okay.
could put comments back to it. Typically, the landowner is the one who presents the terms and conditions. So we'll see. We could put it out there and see what he says. What are your concerns?
The first one is any payment later than 5 days.
Unfortunately, mine's sideways. We would pay the lease off annually.
No, I understand, I get it. But if we have a process by where there's an invoice, it goes through our financial officer, its check is signed by the general manager and then signed by a board member. So in many cases, that can take more than 5 days. So what I'm saying is that that's, in my estimation, that is an unreasonable amount of time.
Well, he would be required to submit his invoice a month prior.
Does it state that we're paying on net 30 terms? It does not, so.
We could do that.
Wants to-
Well, I would say we wait till it comes back and see what he says.
If he wants to state that we're paying in net 30 terms, that eliminates that whole problem. But it says if it's not received within 5 days after its due date.
I don't know why this is sideways. Let me, excuse me one second, let me close this out, and I want to open it up again, and maybe I'll be able to follow along and read.
Starting at the top, actually.
Now it's vertical.
So
Oh, there you go.
in the lease agreement, it's
Page on, word
page
packet wise.
130.
Okay.
And now it's gone.
And now it's gone.
I got it back.
So, yeah, in the first paragraph below the yellow
5 right
highlight,
here.
says in the event that any payment is paid later than 5 days after its due date, said monthly payment, and it's actually annual payment shall accrue penalty equal to 5% of said annual payment. So that he's got some conflicting language anyway, but 5 days is not reasonable to me. Unless we're paying net 30 terms, and that's changing the game. The other question I have is related to specifically the additional rents, provision, and taxes.
All right here.
So what are we looking at in cost for taxes if we're paying the higher assessed tax rate?
I'm sorry, I was putting in the net 30. Where are you at?
5, 4, and 5, additional rents and taxes.
Stating that we would be on the hook for any additional property tax assessments.
If we did a tenant improvement project and it was a physical structure that was going to increase the value of the property, then we'd be responsible for those taxes. We're a temporary building, so if there's any, I don't see that there be any permanent value to his property.
Can we confirm that?
All right, so we're gonna go through all these, or we're gonna wait for it to come back?
No, you asked what I had exceptions to, so
Okay.
I'm just telling you what I took
I got that.
exceptions to. We can leave it at that.
You like all the red line though, right? You're good with that? I was just seeing how red it was.
Yeah,
I would
I
prefer a
just-
clean copy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was a mess. I mean, I could barely
Right.
read it. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Trying to show you where we started.
Yeah. No, I know. No, it's good. We like it. It's just, yeah, we'll definitely have to see it again. But we're trying to do this by, what's your target date? March?
If we could have a lease in place by March and have some bid documents ready to go by the end of February, we probably, April, May.
Is when you would be occupying it?
No,
Oh,
if we,
because it takes about 8 weeks to
it's
build,
gonna
doesn't it?
take 6 months to get the building built or delivered when we decide to
That's okay.
move forward with it. But to have him wait on us for 6 or 8 months doesn't seem very fair. So the amount for the annual payment is in the $4,000 range. I don't know exactly the dimes and pennies of it, but we have to enter agreement sooner or later. Now, if it was a commercial lease, then we would say, yeah, we want, 1 year free, we're gonna do tenant improvement, all the other stuff, but it's just we're all land sitting there. We do occupy, we are using it right now, as a matter of fact, for free, as a staging area for the underground work that's happening in the street. He's not asking for a dime.
So have we addressed the trees yet, or is that coming?
That's a county issue, so when we get the package together and I'm ready to present it to the county, I will bring that up. And
Okay.
we'll talk about the trees, but the trees are in the county right away.
So we're hopeful we'll have occupancy within 2021.
Yes,
Okay.
I would say in the summer.
That would be
Nice.
wonderful.
Mhm.
So great.
What I will also do, Mr. Young, is I will send you a list of sources that I reached out to alert them to my RFP.
Okay.
When I ran the RFP, I did get 3 responses. I did try to contact manufacturers directly, and they all referred me to a selling dealer.
All right.
So Mobile Homes and Pastor Willis you're already dealing with, API, who, just in case anybody wants to know, is an absolute nightmare to deal with.
And I contacted them when we were talking about the smaller unit.
Yeah, and the last one was in Pomo? In Pomo, anyway, I'll send you the list, but it was way more than the 3 that I got.
We'll try to get his, my computer said it wants to restart. Sorry. Yeah, we definitely want to get as many competitors as possible.
I think it's about a dozen on my list, so I'll send that with the RFP.
So, like I said, this is supposed to be back this week, the lease, and Mr. Keller's kind of hit and miss. When he's on, and when he's off, he's somewhere.
No problem.
And if it doesn't pan out for March, and if it takes him a long time to get back, we'll just push it out a little further, but I don't want to push it too far down the road.
All right, any other board comment on this?
No.
Any public comment? No.
That's good.
All right, we'll move on to item number 6, review and provide direction to staff on,
I'm shaking my head already.
no, on the question proposed as strategic planning session.
I proposed those questions, and I've actually, was gonna ask about possibly pushing that off, or rescinding the questions. I didn't have a chance to mention, I don't mean to throw Director Gregory under the bus. I got some input from you on how to frame certain things with downtown, and so that's why I kind of wanted to pull those questions back. And, I mean, there's only one question I really want to ask Doug, and that is just, what does it mean by quality of life? What does that mean?
Do you have a DNR?
Firefighter, man.
Do you want?
Great. What does it mean, quality of life?
It's in the legal code. It was just, that would be the only question. I don't want to go chase a bunch of things on this item. That's why I kind of want to push it off and maybe sit, think about it, and maybe resubmit a question.
Okay.
Hey, you just ruined it.
Oh. Whoa. Wait, what's that say?
So you want to
That's
ask
yours now?
council what that specific question here?
Just what is it? What does it mean in the government code? It says, it'd be actually under Resource Code 5786, and other related services that improve the community's quality of life. What does that even mean? That's what I wanted to ask Doug.
You mentioned the specific codes, let me go look that up, wait, what code section was that, 5786?
5786 of the Public Resource Code.
Public Recreation Code,
No, it's a resource code.
and here it says Public Recreation Code under this.
Did I write it as recreation? No.
I think
I may have transposed that.
I have it here.
Just give me a second.
Okay.
Well, is it specific that you're improving the quality of life, or is that subjective?
That's what I'm asking. What does that mean?
Sounds very subjective.
Yes.
I mean, the reason why I'm asking, and what I was originally gonna do with this is
Oh, I see, so.
if it's subjective, or what does that mean? Because if we look towards our downtown, could somewhere down the line, this district could say, could we consider, do something like that? And if we ever say like, lowering taxes, building businesses, whatever the heck we feel is gonna improve the quality of life for people in this town. I didn't know what that meant.
Okay, so this is in 5786A, and just so we're all on the same page, I'm just gonna read it so that you guys have context. So organize, promote, or it says the district may organize, promote, conduct, and advertise programs of community recreation, including but not limited to parks and open space, parking, transportation, or what other related services that improve the community's quality of life. All right, so what it's going back to is when something is a gift of public funds and when it is not. So the first restriction on that is whatever the task it has to be within the scope of the CSD. So in other words, if you're doing something outside of your scope or not tailored to a service or a governmental service that you're authorized to provide, then it could be considered potentially, we'd have to review it, each one of them, but a gift of public funds. The second part of it gets to the quality of life. There has to be a nexus when you spend government money to actually improving the life of the community. Now, the arbiters and the decision makers in determining what quality of life, that is the board. So the board as a whole would make that determination. But that's why when we spend money, we have resolutions or minute actions, and they're tied back to findings. Those findings are what make that declaration or tie into how the quality of life is going to be improved. And it is somewhat subjective, but it would be based off of a reasonableness standard. So as an example, just giving somebody $1,000 of district money, even with a finding that, hey, if we give a community member money, that's going to improve, San Miguel, that would be a gift of public funds and didn't do anything. If, however, you gave $1,000 to somebody to provide food to the homeless or the needy, if you made the right findings, that would be within the scope of, that could potentially be within the scope of what's allowable and improving the quality of life. So again, it's subjective, and it would be tied to the findings that the board would make, and the board would be the ultimate arbitrator, subject only to a judge's reasonableness standard in making that determination.
Okay, that's why I was just curious, was the subjectiveness on.
Is that helpful? I know it was.
It's just because we don't know, the county does not have an economic development arm. Our neighboring city does have an economic development arm. They're actively doing it. They have people. They're always pushing stuff, getting done. This COVID stuff hit. Our businesses were kind of left in the wind a bit. The city of Pasco's got programs at the wazoo for the business over there. So I just see us as like a disadvantage, and that's why I kind of, as we go into our strategic planning, thinking about our downtown, is how subjective that is in terms of like whatever the heck we think we want to do down there. And I didn't want to like commit anybody or anything else, but have an idea where is that something that we could use as like the reasoning. This is going to improve the quality of life. That was all I wanted to go with it. Does that make sense? What I'm saying, I know it's a mouthful.
So to clarify, Doug,
Thank you.
I think what Anthony's getting at is if we were to, and as you have said, if we collectively made the decision that we are stating is for the benefit of the community, provided we weren't giving one individual $1,000, but it really truly was for the community at large, that's within our realm to do so.
Yep, it still has to be tied to, the services that you're authorized to provide, so there's that limitation in there. Your limitations as a CSD is gonna be a little bit more narrow than if you were a city, or something of that nature. I mean, ultimately, I think, to go all the way that you wanna go, Director, I think that ultimately, what you probably wanna do is you wanna petition the county to have them give you a specific planning area that this board could serve as, in that function as. So that's probably ultimately where you wanna go, but certainly you could broadly interpret the board's current powers to accomplish, many of these goals. We just have to make sure our findings are correctly lined up to stay compliant.
Okay.
But you have pretty broad discretion. I mean, we would just have to analyze it each time.
Okay, so like if we wanted to spend staff time to go get a grant that was gonna put, Tesla chargers, grocery, whatever little.
Oh, that's fine. I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, we have to make our findings, but that kind of stuff, I'm not so worried about. If you were gonna hire a planning director, right, or an economic development director, then, I mean, we might have to be very mindful of their titles and the findings that are associated and how that's tied back to the services that you currently provide.
Okay, I assume all that's gonna be very costly.
We're very creative.
What about the website?
That's where I was also thinking about what we discussed about, because, like a tourism website, a new Discover San Miguel website,
Benefits.
benefit to businesses, the community. Could we kind of do something like that, like Visit San Miguel website, because we kind of can't fit that underneath our existing services since we're advertising businesses. Dang, I just don't know how to talk very succinctly.
Are you
Did you
asking
get
a
that,
question?
Doug?
I thought that was more of a statement.
Thank you.
No, it's a question.
So the question is, Director Collins is wondering if creating a new Visit San Miguel webpage would be a benefit to the community that we would have authority to spend district money on.
You could do that.
Through the quality of life provision.
We don't have our.
Yeah, I mean, look at, this is a CSD. The CSD has broader impact within the community. Like I said, now, if that was, starting to set out planning areas and development stuff that was unrelated to what the district's currently chartered, then that might be going a little bit.
Okay.
Then we could go, so again, there's some inherent limitations in there, but if you're Visit San Miguel and you're talking about the services that you provide, and in the midst of that, you're also talking about, prominent businesses and community, cultural things, you could absolutely do that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank
Is
you.
that,
I think that pretty much does get the clarification, because I don't know how to, I always have these ideas that come to me, and I just want to ask them, but I don't know how to hone in on them sometimes, so I apologize to staff for scaring them with my questions if that happened.
We had a little bit of research because I thought this was going to come up. So what I'll do is I'll just have it put into a memo form and sent to you and the rest of the board, so that at least you have that.
And
Since
then,
that time already spent.
okay, and the only other thing is, if we go down that, could you said like a planning board, like a tourism board? I don't know. Does that
Is
sound?
what part versus will be?
We could, I don't want to go down this too far. Can we, at least as a board, with our existing services, encourage people to either build in our town? Can we have a little memo page for that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because I don't know what we can do in terms of encouraging economic development and what we can't do. And that's why I was looking at the quality of life section.
Yeah, so I think probably the easiest thing for you to do, Director, and potentially to the extent, individual board members want to get involved, what's easiest for me and think probably most cost-effective and time-effective, make a list of the things that you would like to accomplish, and then I can literally go through that and say, yes, no, maybe, this one has to be massaged, and then we can get you there. So if you tell me what the end goal is, I can tell you whether or not we can get there.
Okay. I could probably I don't know. I don't want to take up
And then again, I think it's up to the board to decide, you know, if we're gonna spend time on that, you know, is that gonna be a collective board thing first, or is that gonna be an individual, director?
Do you think?
Why don't we collectively come up with a list, and you can review it.
Yeah, I think that would be perfect and very effective, once you guys have kind of dialed in what you wanna do, and that would be helpful to us.
Okay.
Be careful for no serial meetings, please.
No.
Okay, just gotta put it out there.
No, like public agendized.
Exactly.
Okay, are there any other board comments on this item? What are we doing?
I have no other, no, that's all.
Any public comment on this item? Yes.
I got one little easy thing to help quality of life. Everybody sign that petition to recall King Newsom. That would help a lot. And vote, next election, vote them idiots out of Sacramento.
Absolutely.
You'd see a big improvement in life. All right, well, see y'all later.
Hi, have a good
Yeah, I
day.
don't want
Bye.
All right, that was our last item. Do we have any general board comment?
It was nice to be in this room. Can we do it again next week?
That's who we'd like to be.
Any other board comment?
Yes, and I actually decided to write them as memos to send out, so we don't take up time during this, because everyone wants to go home, it's getting late. The short, so I just read off just a quick bullet point.
Okay.
I got an email from the Strong Towns organization. They said that they are going to include a quote from that article in their annual report to their members.
Okay.
And then I had just some general thoughts on the wayfinding sign that we talked about for our strategic planning. Just there was an example I saw that I thought might be useful to look at, an idea involving community Wi-Fi, and then just one other final thought on public safety, and that's it. And you can staff can look at it, and you can tell me if it's crazy or get filed as a board comment. That's it. That's kind of. Can I do that? Can I just? I didn't want to take up everyone's time on those.
Still trying to understand your question.
He's gonna send us out a memo, you're gonna look at it and direct
Oh,
staff.
okay.
And not directs, just like, just let the board members
He
know
can
that I've
speak
been.
with you and then he can
And
tell
so,
us.
Anthony, you're losing it again, or whatever. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so very much.
I want to say, you know, with this last item and
Uh-oh.
with the board, no, it's just, keep in mind that, you know, the 5 funds, the 5 things that we provide for this district, it takes a lot of time and effort for staff, and we try to do a really good job at saving money, Mr. Owen, and trying to make our operations be the most efficient and for the community. We're all for growth, we're all for development, and we're all for making this place a better place. But when we start talking about expanding the scope of what the CSD was designed to do, there comes, you need personnel, you need revenue, you need a place for those people to exist to perform those duties. So I don't want to discourage you, I just want you to think about our current situation and not start neglecting the 5 things we do, and or put undue burden on the 5 things we do that will prevent us from providing that service in a good way. It's a very, very narrow, you know, line, because it doesn't take a whole lot, you know. Right now, we're trying to get another clerk in here to help out with the front office, and with the way things are going, we're doing very well. You know, I don't like to hear comments like, we're in this bad way, we're doing poorly, and we're in danger, all those things. We work really hard to keep us from being in those positions, but at the same time, that doesn't, because we're doing good, doesn't mean we can take on the world. We're all for it, but when you start thinking about doing that, start thinking about the resources it's gonna take for us to do that.
Right.
So, yeah, and just my comment, I mean, because I don't think we've had a Doug White, he wasn't at the meeting when we were talking about all of our
No.
wish lists and all that kind of stuff, because we couldn't talk to him. We already have our 5 things that we talked about.
Right.
So, I mean, I know website was on there and everything like that. But, you know, to Rob's point, you know, let's tackle a few and then we'll add a few more. You know, we have to keep it, you know, really tight and concise. Otherwise, we're just spread all over and nothing gets done.
Right.
So, that's the other thing.
One of the big ones on that note is, that is happening, okay, you guys let the fire department proceed with this temporary housing unit. 50% of that is to bring a beat station for the SO. That is one of your guys' big goals right there.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So big.
Simply by doing that, we're going to achieve one of those things, but now it's encompassed in what we perform, see, and that doesn't put a burden on us.
Right.
The website is a great idea, but if it's talking about being done internally, you're talking about staff, websites are very time consuming
No,
and
no,
resource.
we're not.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just,
See, yeah, and I understand that, and I understand the resources that we have here.
Mhm.
And so that's why if something like that was to be added, you know, just like in the business that I am in, there's a lot of companies that are very small, and we don't do that ourselves.
Mhm.
We don't do that in-house.
right.
So we hire it out. But of course, it needs funding and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want us to go in so many different directions. That's why we're trying to, you know, that's why we named the 5 and
Yes.
trying to.
Well, we do have, just so you guys, there is 6, because you guys, the substation got thrown in there on top of the.
Okay. Okay.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not against the website, and if people would invest in it and the community could benefit from it, there's a revenue. But
Right,
it
right.
just has to be
it
planned.
just has to be done correctly and properly and well, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
maybe what we need, Director Calvins, is we need to have like a poster board. We'll list those items, we'll bring them to each meeting. When we get one done, we'll check it off as kind of an accomplishment. You know which one is gonna stay on there for years, but that's okay, you know? So that would be kind of like a little motivator, kind of keep us focused. I mean,
It's like my cheat sheets.
yeah, and I'm being kind of, you know, silly about it, but yet I'm serious. I love this, and I think, you know, just kind of keeping us focused on that, because that's kind of our extracurricular activities, right? That's our electives, you know, that we
Yeah.
want to work on.
No, I completely agree with that, and I think the list is actually a really great idea, because we get to see that.
And then you stay focused on it, and,
Mhm.
okay, does it achieve this goal?
My-
Does it achieve that goal? Nope, move on. Just, yeah.
Yeah, the comments, the memo that I was gonna send out were not any word dovetailing too far at all, or was just in line with our 5 goals already.
Right,
So I didn't,
yeah.
I
No,
didn't,
no, but,
yeah, no.
but you understand what
Yeah.
I'm saying, because I know that, you know, it's easy to get off on other tangents and stuff. If we really want to achieve those goals, to stay more succinct and everything.
Right.
One other comment I'd like to make is, and I know we're kind of casual, easygoing, can we kind of tighten that up a little bit for public comment?
I agree.
You guys don't need to be stepped on. Public comment needs to be asked for.
Yeah, I would appreciate that directors need to talk with directors. And, you know, just kind of stop the public from talking and then,
Yes.
okay,
Madam Clerk, do we actually, we adopted a Paul Roberts Rules of Order?
Yes, we did.
And is it possible to keep the politics out of it?
You can call point of order,
Okay,
and it is board comment, public comment, and board comment. He can ask to hold his comment.
And then if he has another comment, he can raise his hand and we can vote to reopen public comment procedures.
Yes.
And if he wants to bring politics, he's allowed to do it at the first public comment, that says, hey, I'm not on the agenda. No, 3 minutes or whatever, usually.
Yes,
so you could say anything.
he can say whatever he wants in that, not on his agenda.
Not derogatory, defamatory.
Well, almost everything he wants.
But it's 1 minute though, right?
3 minutes,
3 minutes.
If I could, so I usually, don't try to interrupt, but just even on public comment, it is limited to items that are within the jurisdiction or control of the board as a whole. So generally speaking, global, national, or international politics, that's not really within the control of a community service district, so, safety, so if you want to do that, I leave that to the board's discretion about how generous you want to be, because obviously, we want to let people have their opportunity to speak, but that is the rule in terms of the limitation, so.
It is a fine line.
We've been very generous in the past, past practices. I mean, some people would speak for 12, 15 minutes in public comment.
Oh, no.
Well, we're glad to have them here sometime,
He does bring levity.
Sorry.
So,
Before you guys adjourn, I need to make a correction. I just want to thank Mary. I did not send her the board packet, but we'll be working together to get the taken care of.
Okay. My final comment is if we're making a list, it's gonna go on a whiteboard that will be under stewardship of Director Collins. I'd like you to bring it to each meeting, maybe just the planning meetings.
Might want to use Sharpie.
Perhaps.
Anything else?
technical clerk thing, our website, Director Roning's picture is on there, or?
No.
No, it's
Not
not,
yet.
okay.
Did you take that when he was here?
No.
I have one.
Yes.
He was dressed up all nice and we didn't get a picture of him?
I think, I'm not the photographer.
Well, so I'm not dressed up nice now.
You're always dressed up nice, sir, but that's it.
All right, well, nothing else, that's it? We're adjourned.
It is 9:46.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Anybody?